Everybody, this is Brian with BubbaTanicals out here, and we're going to have you along today for some stuff we're going to do in the farm. We're going to be replacing a busted up field water line. So you can see, I'm going to pan this over here real quick. I'm taking the video with my iPod, so I don't know if it's going to turn out like crap or not. So far it's been pretty good. Anyway, so we got this water line. They run out to our far field so we can water this area and fill the troughs off and that kind of stuff. It's about 1.5 feet or so underground. Ran a trench all the way back up to the well house you can see there just to the right of those pear trees. And I was kind of a cheapie about it, and I figured since it was right next to the electric fence, they wouldn't mess with it too much. But as you can see, somebody kicked it and it's busted. So right now this line is not very useful to us. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be replacing it with this bad boy right here. And what this is a frost-proof yard hydrant. I got this at Home Depot for about 40 bucks or so. These are really handy to have. The actual valve is actually down here at the bottom. When you open up the thing on top, the water will fill the tube up, come out the top as you'd expect, and then when it's turned off, the valve opens on the bottom and it will drain back out. So when you're not using this hydrant, the tube is actually empty, and that's how it's frost-proof. The valve, of course, is below grade, and it's going to be far enough down. That's way beyond the frost line around here in Georgia, so that's going to be pretty good. What we're going to do is I'm going to dig this hole out a little further so that we have a little room between the fence and the hydrant. You can see, I don't know where my head is, probably another 6 to 8 inches or so right there towards the bottom, or the bottom of your screen. And then we're going to fill it with gravel, which I got out of my aquarium when I changed it out to sand. I've got about 60 pounds of gravel here. That will allow a good drainage bed around the valve. And so we're going to start digging. Got my immigrant workers here helping me out. And stay tuned, it's going to be fun. Alright, so we've got our hole widened out a little bit. We've gone ahead and attached the coupler to the broken pipe. I cut that off. You can see right there, that's the piece I cut off. That's the piece that we attached to build the other pieces on when we connect the pipe up. Oops, that's my finger. Sorry about that. So what we got to do is we're going to extend this out here all the way down, and we're going to put an elbow on there, and then up comes the yard faucet, or yard hydrant. Now the way we do that is we take this piece of 3/4 inch Schedule 40 PVC. You can see I've already got it primed. It's very important to prime all your connections because the PVC pipe will have oils and stuff on it, and the way this glue works is it actually melts the two pieces together, and so the primer basically strips off all the junk that might be on the pipe, so you get a nice solid connection. When you do that, the joints are actually more solid than just the regular piece. So this is our elbow. You notice I didn't just go with a solvent-based elbow that we could just slide in. I've actually got 2 threaded pieces. Those threads are wrapped with Teflon tape. Use the higher grade Teflon tape. Don't get the crappy stuff. Get the mil-spec version, which will be probably in like a red thing. It'll be a step up from that and just a step below the gas-rated Teflon tape. It's thicker, does a better job, doesn't shred up as much, it doesn't bind up as much in the threads. So you can see the inside of that's a solvent joint. That's primed and ready to go. And the reason I did threads is because our yard hydrant is going to attach right here to this one. But in order to get it plumb, I'm going to need some kind of flexibility. So I'm not going to, let's say I put it in and I have to tweak it a little bit, I can tweak it at the threads. I don't have to actually put stress on the pipe, which could cause it to fracture later, which is not cool. So let's go ahead and get this thing in the ground, and we'll attach our yard hydrant here and get things rolling. Alright, now, what we've done here so far, as you can see, we've got the gravel down in there. We've got the pipe just exposed a little bit. This could honestly use quite a bit more gravel, but I don't really have a whole lot more gravel. Let's see if I can scrounge up some more stuff before we fill this in. But I've got the yard hydrant attached there. It's pretty much plumb. I've made those adjustments already. And we've got a bunch of stuff here, twigs and pipes and stuff, to kind of brace it while the glue sets. So what I'm going to do is we're going to wait about an hour, and then we're going to put some pressure in this line and make sure the whole thing works without leaking before we actually bury it, because you don't want to have like a slow leak underground. That would be really ugly and all that jazz. So yeah. So what we'll do, actually, we'll put some more gravel down in there, and we'll cover that over with roofing felt, 30-pound roofing felt, which I've got some extra stuff, and that'll keep the dirt, when we fill the hole back in, it'll keep the dirt up on top of the gravel, the drain bed there, and it will keep it from getting clogged up and that sort of thing. So stay tuned. All right. So it's been about an hour, so I've already had pressurized the line, and we've checked it for leaks. And I went ahead and found some more gravel. I had about 5 gallons worth up in my garage, or my barn rather, which is a really lucky thing. So I poured that in here. It's just an aquarium gravel. It's got some hay in it because my kids, I don't know what they did that for, but it's got a bunch of hay in it. They had hay in the container with it. But yeah, so it should be fine though. The majority of it is just gravel. It's going to provide a lot of loose drainage. We're going to take, before we bury this line, cut a piece of roofing paper to kind of match the contour of what we got going on here. And this will sit down on top of the gravel, and that way when we take and we bury it, we're not going to get dirt that works down inside the gravel and clogs that drain bed. So a couple of minor adjustments here. We'll just work that down in. Like that. Down. In most cases, you'll see a lot of people run drain fields like this with their septic line. Wouldn't necessarily recommend it, but I've seen it done before. So the idea here is just to make sure we get this gravel covered as such. A couple of pieces here and there. That way we don't give the dirt a real avenue to work its way down. And next, what we're going to do is, what are we going to do next? Oh yeah, we're going to go ahead and bury this stuff. Get it about level, maybe not quite to ground level, because we're going to be putting up some concrete forms here, and then we're going to take and go ahead and mix and pour the concrete. Take a trowel, smooth it off, make sure it's level, and that'll be just about it for this project. Okay, so I've been a little busy since I took the last shot. What we've done is we've gone ahead and poured set our forms, so that this is going to be about 30 inches wide by a little less than 4 feet long, I guess. Now a lot of people will set their forms and they'll set them just to the level of where they want their concrete to be. This is only going to be about 4 inches deep or so, which will give a nice solid bed for this guy. What I'm going to do here is, since these are so tall, I'm just going to level it off and go that route. But I don't know if you can tell this or not, but you can see the land kind of slopes down and away from this spot. So what I've actually got to do is when I put the concrete into here, it's going to have to be higher on this end and gradually slope down that end. So probably about an inch or so over that 4 feet, maybe 2. Well, an inch should be good. A lot of people you'll see when they're setting their forms will actually set them like this, and then they'll drive posts here, and posts to hold it, and posts on the inside, and then they'll pull the inside out once it's set a little bit. I was going to do that, but I happened to find these little corner braces when I was rummaging around trying to find the trowel. So these work really well. They give you a good start. You got about a 90-degree angle there, so you know it's fairly square. And then I just had to come back in once I had this all stuff set out with my speed square and just kind of tune it up. So these are about 3 inches below grade at the bottom. I've got dirt piled against it to keep it from torquing out when the cement gets in there and pushes against it. So it should be pretty good to go. And so that the standpipe there is plumb. It's level on both this axis and the other axis, so you measure it that way. I've already tried it. I've already tested it. Actually, I filled up a bucket of water with to do the concrete with. So without further ado, let's get this thing cranking. We'll do this one-handed real quick. Oh yeah, you're not going to see too many of these things here. Yeah, it really doesn't look like a whole lot, does it? I've got about, what do I got here? About 400, close to 400 pounds of concrete, 380 bags, a 60 bag. I think I've got 2 more 60s in the garage. That should cover us pretty good. I don't anticipate having too many problems. So, but we'll check back in a little bit. Thanks. All right, so we ended up using all of that concrete. That was 3 80-pound bags and 3 60-pound bags. You can do the math. I'm kind of tired, but yeah. So you can see what we have here. So far, it's plenty deep enough. And what I've been doing just a little bit here is kind of sort of leveling it out. I'm not really even trying to get it that level at this point, just trying to kind of get it consistently around the edges of the form here. And the pretty, we'll make it pretty later. Right now, we just want to get it to where it's kind of somewhat consistent. This is rather difficult to do with one hand. So this, you can see, this will smooth out relatively. What the heck is that? A little chunk there. This should smooth out relatively. Look at that. Big piece of rock. Oh, that's just a big piece of concrete that didn't. Alrighty, bye-bye. Okay. So yeah. So what we'll do is we'll take this, we'll smooth it out, and then we're going to check it for level. Now remember, we don't actually want it level. We want it to be a little bit higher on the uphill side than it is on the downhill side, so that water will not pool on it. And we also want to that regard, slope it away on the sides and everything from the base of the tube, because you don't want water pooling around here and wicking its way down, because that'll cause issues. So I'm going to go ahead and get this troweled out here, make it a little prettier looking, and we'll check back in a sec. Okay, back again. So a few things I've done while you guys are all getting coffee is I took this board here. Usually you would use a 2x4 for this. When you do this, this might be kind of difficult to do with one hand. So you can see for that the definitely got a slope going on. That'll make the water run off. And then of course along this angle, just a slight bit of slope, pretty much level. What we've done also, and we worked that out just kind of repeatedly, dragging the board across the concrete, up and down, back and forth, to get it pretty even, and worked into the corners. What we also did, and this is something that nobody seems to tell anybody, take a stick like this, a little stake or whatever, and you work the gill in the corners and really ram it down in there. What that does is that eliminates any air pockets that are sitting there, so that when you knock your mold down or your form down, you don't have these little pockets like you see in these crappy concrete jobs. It's all solid. And so you go all the way around, really shove that sucker down in there really hard. I'm not doing it right now because I just spent all this work straighten it up. But you can see it's packed down pretty tight up against the sides of the mold, and that'll look a lot better once these things are knocked down. So what I've got left to do now, pretty much, is just take this here trowel and smooth that sucker out. Now the way to do this is you start off pretty firm with a slight angle. Go in arc, kind of move your arc, and then as you can see, as this concrete gets smoother and smoother, you can go lighter and lighter on the trowel, to where really you're almost just letting it float, because you want to keep that angle constant. And that'll work most of the coarse gravel down into the concrete, and it'll let the water come up to the top, and the finer grains will come to the top, and that's what you smooth over. So we'll go ahead and finish this thing up before we lose the sun, which is we just lost it actually. We gotta work quick. All right, so we're gonna come back out tomorrow, check on this thing, knock the forms down, and see how we did. So this has been a fun day. Got a lot done today, and hope it's been useful for you guys. And we'll check back in tomorrow. It's now 2 days later, because yesterday it rained pretty heavily and I wasn't able to get out of here and mess with it. But you can see our concrete is fairly set up. I could, if I wanted to, probably scratch something in here with a rock or something like that. But I'm not going to do that. This stuff will takes about 5 to 7 days to fully set. But it's hard enough now that we can go ahead and knock out our forms and see how it turned out. So I've already gone ahead and taken the braces out, and we'll just take these things out and see what it looks like, and hopefully we didn't screw it up too bad. Alright, there's one, two, ooh, that didn't look good. So it's set up pretty well. The corners are a little soft, the edges are a little soft. I'm going to let those cure out for a few days. All in all, it's pretty solid. What I'm probably going to end up doing is going to probably put a short fence around here, just kind of knee high to keep the goats out of it, keep it from really up and rubbing on it and stuff like that. But other than that, I think we're good to go. So without further ado, I'm Brian with BubbaTanicals. Thanks for watching.